Chosen one, God says, you will leave this house. Your new home is already waiting on Sunday, chosen one. Hear this with the certainty of heaven. God says you will leave this house, for your new home is already waiting. The walls around you now may feel familiar, but they are no longer your resting place. You have outgrown the season they represent, and the spirit within you stirs with a holy urgency to rise and move. Do not look at what your eyes see, but feel the new dwelling that already belongs to you in the unseen. On Sunday, the veil lifts, the promise becomes visible, and what was once only a whisper in your spirit becomes your reality. The home you imagined in faith has been built in secret for you, and now God's timing is perfect. Step out with courage, for the keys of your destiny are already in your hand. The inner exodus comes before the outer move, chosen one. Before your feet ever cross the threshold of a new house, your spirit must first depart the old one, for no outer change can arrive until the inner transformation has already been accepted, embraced, and lived within. The exodus of the soul always precedes the relocation of the body. You see, God works not from the outside in, but from the inside out, and so when he tells you that you will leave this house, what he truly declares is that your inner man has already stepped into a greater space, into a realm prepared for you long before you even knew you were ready to depart. This is why lately the place you live may feel tighter, heavier, restless, as though the walls are closing in on you. Not because something is wrong with the house, but because the house no longer matches the size of your spirit, which has grown too vast for what once was enough. God will never leave you where you cannot flourish. Instead, he plants a new vision within you, a new image, a new feeling that carries you beyond what your senses behold. Imagine the Israelites standing in Egypt. Though physically still in bondage within their hearts, God had already called them out, and the moment they believed him enough to act, the physical exodus became inevitable. So it is with you. Your spirit has already crossed into your new dwelling, and your outer world must align with this unseen shift. Perhaps you have already caught glimpses of it in your dreams, or in those quiet moments when you close your eyes and feel yourself standing somewhere unfamiliar yet strangely peaceful. That is not imagination playing games. That is God revealing what is already yours in the eternal now. You must understand that the spiritual exodus is not about packing bags or signing papers first. It is about detaching yourself from the identity tied to your old dwelling and clothing yourself in the reality of the new. If you remain bound to the belief that this house is all you have, you chain yourself to the old season. But if you can lift your eyes in faith and see yourself already resting within the walls of the promised home, then the outer transition becomes as natural and unstoppable as dawn following night. And this is why God has told you the time. Sunday, a day of resurrection, a day of new beginnings, a day symbolic of leaving behind the tomb of limitation and walking into the light of new life. On Sunday, chosen one, you will not just move in body, you will move in spirit, and the reason the new home is waiting is because your inner self has already claimed it, already walked its hallways, already opened its windows and breathed its air. The exodus is happening within you now, in your thoughts, in your prayers, in your secret visions when no one is watching. And the more you dwell in that inner reality, the quicker the outer shift arrives. Consider this. Every great change in life begins not with physical action, but with a change of state, a decision to no longer accept what was, a willingness to step into what is becoming. Your old house represents who you used to be, the lessons you have already mastered, the struggles you have already endured, but your new home symbolizes the elevation God has designed for the next chapter. You cannot carry yesterday's address into tomorrow's destiny, for destiny requires a new foundation, a new location, a new vibration of spirit. So let your faith rest, chosen one, knowing that the exodus has already begun, even if no boxes are packed yet, even if the keys are not yet in your pocket. You are not waiting for a home, the home is waiting for you. You are not hoping for a place, the place is calling for you. What must happen now is your alignment with this truth, your willingness to detach from the old and embrace the new, your ability to walk by faith and not by sight. For God is not limited by leases, landlords, or walls. He is the author of time, the builder of houses not made with hands, the one who says, I go before you to prepare a place. And once he has spoken, nothing can stop it from manifesting. The inner exodus is already complete, and soon your outer life will follow, for Sunday is not merely a day on the calendar. It is the appointed hour when the invisible becomes visible, when the unseen becomes seen, when the promise becomes tangible, and when you, chosen one, will finally leave the house that no longer holds you and step boldly into the new home God has already prepared in your name. The power of divine imagination, chosen one, when God speaks of your new home already waiting, he is not asking you to look with your natural eyes, but with the eye of faith, the imagination, that sacred gift he placed within you to behold realities unseen. Imagination is not a child's game nor a fleeting daydream. It is the very womb where destiny is conceived and birthed. Before any door can swing open in the outer world, you must already have walked through it in your inner vision. This is why God tells you that your new home is prepared, because the moment you allow yourself to dwell within it in your imagination, you align with the invisible truth that is more real than the walls that currently surround you. Do not mistake the silence of the physical for the inactivity of God. Even now, as you close your eyes and envision yourself entering a place where peace greets you, where every corner feels like it was designed just for you, where the air itself carries freedom and expansion, you are already inhabiting the promise. Divine imagination is the key that unlocks the unseen dimension. For what you consistently see inwardly, you will eventually see outwardly. Every home you have ever lived in was once only an unseen possibility. Every door you have opened was first conceived in the realm of thought before it stood solid before your hands. God created the world by speaking what was invisible into existence, and since you were made in his image, your imagination carries the same creative power. This is why chosen ones cannot afford to be careless with their inner pictures. If you dwell on limitation, you will create limitation, but if you dwell on promise, you will call forth promise. Right now, you may feel as though you are trapped within four walls that no longer serve you, but let me tell you, the moment you dare to feel yourself outside of them, already in the new place God has whispered, the shift begins to stir in ways your senses cannot yet detect. See yourself lying down in that new bedroom, walking across that new floor, looking out of windows you have not yet touched. Do this not as though it is a wish, but as though it is already yours. For imagination is not asking what if, but declaring so it is. The old house holds memories, lessons, and growth, but your imagination must now anchor itself to the new, refusing to replay old cycles, refusing to dwell on lack, refusing to question how it will happen. God has already established the how. Your role is to align through vision and feeling. Many dismiss imagination as fantasy, yet what is unseen today becomes concrete tomorrow. The unseen is the seed, the seen is only the harvest. Do you not know that when God said, "Let there be light," he was not speaking to what already was, but to what he saw within himself? Likewise, when you declare within your imagination that your new home is yours, you are not deceiving yourself. You are agreeing with what heaven has already prepared. Feel the keys in your hand, feel the relief of stepping into a place that breathes freedom. Feel the laughter of your spirit echoing against fresh walls, and remain in that inner dwelling until it becomes more familiar to you than your current address. The power of divine imagination is this: it does not wait for evidence, it creates evidence. It does not plead with God for proof, it accepts his word as proof enough. You must learn to rest in the assurance that what you see within is not pretend, it is prophecy. Every prophet that ever spoke of God's promises first saw them in the spirit before they manifested in the natural. You, chosen one, are called to do the same. Sunday is not just a date, it is a symbol that the vision you carry inwardly is ready to break forth outwardly. Just as the tomb could not hold Christ when the resurrection dawned, your current dwelling cannot hold you when imagination has already resurrected you into a greater space. So do not allow fear, doubt, or impatience to choke the vision. Instead, water it daily with feeling, Feed it with thanksgiving, nurture it with certainty, until the walls of your new home call your name as loudly as your own heartbeat. Understand this truth deeply. The outer house is only a reflection of the inner house you already inhabit in faith. Change the inner dwelling through imagination, and the outer dwelling must follow. That is the law of creation. That is the power God entrusted to you when He gave you the ability to see beyond sight, to hear beyond sound, to know beyond reason. Therefore, tonight, when you close your eyes, do not see the same old walls, but let your soul step into the mansion God has already built for your spirit. On Sunday, chosen one, when God brings forth the visible key, it will not surprise you, for you have already lived there 1,000 times within. And when you walk through the doorway into that new space, you will realize you were never waiting for it. It was waiting for you to see it, to believe it, to claim it within before claiming it without. This is the power of divine imagination, and this is the path God uses to move His chosen ones into the homes He has already prepared for their destiny. God's timing is appointed chosen one when God declares that you will leave this house and your new home is already waiting on Sunday. He is not merely pointing to a day circled on the calendar, but revealing to you the mystery of His appointed time, for everything in your life unfolds not by chance or accident, but by divine orchestration. God is the master of timing, and when He moves, He does so with precision, aligning every detail in perfect harmony, even when from your human perspective it may seem delayed, confusing, or uncertain. You see, your journey has not been random. Every delay, every closed door, every season of waiting has been the shaping hand of God preparing you for the very moment when His word would manifest in fullness. If you had left too soon, the house would not have been ready. If you had clung too long to the old, you would have missed the blessing of the new. But now the moment has come, for the voice of God is telling you, this is the hour. Sunday is more than a date. It is a symbol of resurrection, the day when what was hidden becomes revealed, when what was sealed in the unseen bursts forth into the seen, when dead seasons give way to living promise. Remember, chosen one, that God is never late. He is always right on time, though your natural mind may struggle with the waiting. The delay was never denial, it was preparation. You may have wondered why you felt restless in your old home, why things began to feel uncomfortable, why situations arose that seemed to push you out of your comfort zone. It was because the time had come to leave. The unease was God's gentle nudge, urging you not to settle for what you had outgrown, but to make room for what He had already prepared. Timing is everything in the kingdom, for just as the farmer cannot harvest before the season, you cannot step into the fullness of your promise until the appointed moment, and now that moment has been set. Understand this. God's appointed time is not measured by clocks or calendars alone, but by alignment. When your spirit, your faith, and your destiny converge with His eternal plan, you have already undergone the inner exodus, you have already envisioned the new place through divine imagination, and now heaven's clock strikes the hour for manifestation. Sunday represents this appointed alignment, when all that has been prepared in secret becomes visible in the open. Do not doubt this word, for God is not a man that He should lie. What He has promised He will bring to pass, and no power of darkness, no delay of man, no circumstance of life can overturn what has been sealed by His decree. When He says you will leave this house, then every obstacle must bow, every barrier must break, and every hindrance must fall, because nothing can withstand the appointed time of God. Think of Sarah, who laughed when told she would bear a son in her old age, yet at the appointed time she held Isaac in her arms. Think of Joseph, who languished in prison, forgotten by men, but in the appointed hour was lifted to stand before Pharaoh and step into destiny. Think of Christ Himself, who, though men sought to kill Him before His time, walked untouched until the appointed hour when He willingly laid down His life, and then on the appointed day rose again. Chosen one, you too are living in that rhythm of appointed time, and the word spoken over you, that your new home awaits you, cannot fail. Even now, heaven is aligning the details. People you do not know are being positioned, circumstances are shifting, doors are opening, papers are moving, conversations are being had in rooms you cannot yet enter, but all of it is working together to fulfill God's decree. Do not be anxious if you cannot see how it will unfold. Your responsibility is not to control the process, but to trust the timing. Faith rests in the assurance that God's appointed time is perfect. Sunday has been chosen not only as a symbol, but as a sign to you that your waiting has not been in vain. It is the day of resurrection, of unveiling, of stepping out of the old tomb and into the new dwelling. Let this truth anchor your spirit. If the time were not now, God would not have spoken. The very fact that he has told you confirms that the appointed hour is upon you. Stop looking back at the old house with fear or hesitation. Stop asking if you are truly ready. God's timing is never based on your readiness, but on his promise. He equips you as you step forward. He strengthens you as you obey. He guides you as you trust. Every chosen one learns this lesson. When the appointed time comes, nothing can hold you back, not even your own doubts, for the hand of God will move you forward. So take courage, chosen one, and lift your head high, for Sunday is not just another day. It is your day of destiny. The doors of your new home are already open in the Spirit. The keys already bear your name, and the moment you cross the threshold, you will look back and realize why every delay, every tear, every long night of prayer was necessary. It was all leading you to this appointed hour. For God's timing is perfect, his promise is sure, and his word cannot return void. Trust him, for on Sunday you will see with your own eyes what you have already believed in your heart, that you will leave this house, and the new home he has prepared for you has been waiting all along. The old place no longer fits you, chosen one, when God declares that you will leave this house, because your new home is already waiting. It is a revelation that the old place no longer fits you, for the dwelling that once sheltered you, nurtured you, and carried you through a season has now become too small for the greatness God is unfolding within you. And just as a child cannot remain forever in the garments of infancy, you too cannot remain in a place that can no longer contain the magnitude of your destiny. This is why you feel restless, why the walls that once brought you comfort now seem to press in on you, why the rooms that once echoed with peace now feel like they echo with limitation, for the spirit within you has outgrown the confines of the old season. It is not that the house is broken, nor that the memories there are unworthy, but rather that the anointing upon your life demands a new environment, a new foundation, a new space designed for where God is taking you next. Think of the caterpillar within the cocoon. The cocoon is necessary, it is protection, it is process, but when the time of transformation comes, the cocoon becomes a prison if the butterfly does not break free, and so too with you. This house has been your cocoon, but now your wings have formed, and if you remain within it, you will suffocate in what was meant only to be temporary. That is why God whispers to your spirit, you cannot stay here. For he knows that staying in the old place would keep you tied to an identity you have already outgrown. The old house represents who you were, the struggles you endured, the prayers you prayed, the tears you shed, and while all of these were vital to shaping you, they no longer define you, for you are being called higher. This is why you cannot shake the feeling of dissatisfaction, why you cannot get comfortable even when you try, why no amount of rearranging or redecorating seems to bring peace. Because the season of this house has ended, and the Spirit of God within you is pressing you toward the new. Chosen one, understand this. When a space no longer fits, it is not a sign of failure, but a sign of growth. When Abraham was called out of his father's house, it was not because his father's land was evil, but because destiny required him to go to a land God would show him. When the Israelites were pressed out of Egypt, it was not because Egypt had never served a purpose, but because Egypt could no longer contain their identity as God's chosen nation. Likewise, your old house has served its purpose, but it cannot contain your next dimension. Every wall that feels like it is closing in, every ceiling that feels too low, every corner that feels too cramped, is God's way of telling you, you were never meant to stay here forever. The enemy will try to keep you bound by fear, whispering that you cannot afford to leave, that you are not ready, that the new place is uncertain, but those are lies meant to chain you to what no longer serves your spirit. If you remain in a house God has already told you to leave, you will feel the weight of stagnation. for the anointing does not flow where obedience has been abandoned. But if you dare to trust, if you dare to step out, if you dare to believe that the new place is already waiting, you will find freedom that exceeds your imagination. Remember, chosen one, that comfort is not always the sign of God's will. Often discomfort is the very indicator that He is preparing to shift you. Do not be deceived by familiarity. The old house feels familiar because you have known it, but familiarity is not fulfillment. Fulfillment comes when you step into the unknown with faith, knowing that God has already gone ahead of you. Your new home is not just a change of location. It is a change of dimension, a shift in atmosphere, a divine environment crafted to support your next season. The relationships tied to your new place are waiting. The opportunities aligned with your new place are waiting. The spiritual growth connected to your new place is waiting. And if you cling to the old, you will miss the unfolding of what is greater. This is why God makes the old place uncomfortable, because if it still fit, you would never leave. He knows your heart. He knows how easily you could settle, so He removes the ease from the old to propel you into the new. Chosen one, do not mourn what you leave behind, for you are not abandoning blessing. You are carrying it forward into a larger space. The memories remain, the lessons remain, the strength gained within those walls remains, but the house itself has completed its assignment. Every house, every place, every season has an assignment, and once its purpose is fulfilled, the grace to remain there lifts. You may feel it in your spirit already, that sense that the grace to stay is gone, that sense that no matter how much you try to hold on, it slips through your fingers. Do not resist this flow, for to resist is to fight against God's timing. Instead, yield, trust, obey, for the old place no longer fits you because you have been enlarged by God's Spirit, and what cannot fit you cannot hold you, and what cannot hold you cannot contain you. The Spirit of God is expanding you beyond these walls, and though your natural mind may hesitate, your spirit rejoices because it already knows the truth. The new home is waiting, and it is designed for the fullness of who you are becoming. So lift your eyes from the old chosen one and fix them on the horizon, for God has declared that Sunday is the day of your stepping out. Do not look at the old walls with regret, but with gratitude, knowing they served you well, but also knowing that they cannot follow you into your future. The old place no longer fits you because you were never meant to shrink back into it. You were meant to expand into destiny. Walk forward with boldness, for the season of the old house is over, and the season of your new home has already begun. Faith is the key that unlocks the door, chosen one. When God declares that you will leave this house and that your new home is already waiting on Sunday, He is handing you a spiritual key, and that key is faith. For faith is the invisible hand that turns the lock in the unseen realm and causes doors in the physical to swing open before you. Faith is not mere hope, nor is it idle wishing. It is the unwavering assurance that what God has spoken is already finished, already settled, already delivered into your hands. You do not wait for faith after the door opens. You use faith to open the door. This is why the Scripture tells us that without faith it is impossible to please God, for faith is not a suggestion, it is the law of access in the kingdom. God has already built your new home, already aligned the circumstances, already placed the keys in your name, but until you grasp them with faith, they will not be visible to you. Faith does not ask, "How will this happen?" Faith declares, "It is already done." Faith does not look to circumstances for confirmation. Faith stands on the word of God alone. When He says, "You will leave this house," you do not look around at your current condition, at your finances, at your obstacles, at your fears. You look within, you take hold of the invisible key, and you turn it with the conviction that God cannot lie. Faith is not about seeing, it is about knowing. To walk in faith is to step forward even when you cannot see the staircase, because you trust that each step will appear beneath your feet as you move. Chosen one, your new home is not waiting for your doubt. It is waiting for your faith. It is faith that lifts you above the fear of leaving what is familiar. It is faith that silences the whispers of the enemy telling you that you cannot afford it, that you are not ready, that you will fail. It is faith that gives you the courage to leave the old place behind, knowing that God has something greater ahead. Without faith, you will hesitate at the threshold. With faith, you will walk boldly through the door into destiny. Think of the great heroes of faith. Abraham left his father's house without knowing where he was going, but he trusted the God who called him. Moses stretched out his hand over the Red Sea, not knowing how the waters would part, but trusting the one who commanded it. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho in silence, not because it made sense, but because faith told him that the walls would fall. Each of these moments was a locked door, but faith was the key, and as they used it, the impossible became possible. So it is with you. Your old house may look like a locked door, your circumstances may look like walls that cannot move, but your faith is the key, and when you use it, what looks sealed will swing wide open. Faith is not passive, it is active. Faith does not sit still in fear, it moves in alignment with God's promise. If you believe your new home is waiting, then you begin to prepare as though it is already yours. You pack the bags, you envision yourself walking its halls, you give thanks in advance, for thanksgiving is the sound of faith fulfilled. The world tells you to believe it when you see it, but faith tells you to see it when you believe it. This is why faith is so powerful. It reverses the order of the natural and establishes the authority of the supernatural. Chosen one, understand this deeply. Your current house cannot hold you, and your new house is already waiting, but the bridge between the two is faith. If you wait until Sunday without faith, the day will pass you by. But if you walk in faith now, Sunday becomes your appointed hour of manifestation. Do not waver, for a wavering mind is like a wave tossed by the wind. Stand firm, declaring within yourself, I am leaving this house, for my new home is ready. And let that conviction guide your every thought, word, and action. Faith is not blind. It sees with a vision sharper than sight. Faith is not weak. It is the strongest force God has placed within you, for it moves mountains, parts seas, raises the dead, and brings forth homes already prepared in the unseen. Faith is your inheritance, chosen one, and when you use it, nothing can stand against you. So take the key in your spirit now, hold it tight, and know that every lock must yield, every barrier must fall, every door must open. For on Sunday, when you step out of your old dwelling, it will not be by the power of your hand, but by the power of your faith, which has unlocked the promise already written in heaven. Walk boldly, chosen one, for the key is already yours, and the door is already open.